That's 2 weeks in a row. I've been dropping bangers on here, Kev.
Yeah,
Watch out. Watch out. What's up? What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode, Keeping It Orange and Blue. Ryan Schroet, joined as always by my co-pilot, the co-host, Urbana's finest, Oklahoma City's coolest.
That's Goldis Alexander, but whatever.
Yeah.
and on the Bulls tonight.
With the best looking hat around, let me tell you, Mr. Kevin Ducey, how you doing?
Dude, I'm good, man. It's an interesting week. A couple days ago, obviously, just like I'll just say this: it's just really hard to invest in players in a program anymore, and it just makes it sad because that's like, I'm old enough to remember, and there'd be some of the folks who are, around my age, maybe a little bit older, that remember this. Like when Kendall Gill came to Illinois, I mean, if he weighed 145 pounds, I'd have been shocked. He was the skinniest dude. He used to shoot a three like back his freshman year, where he would he'd throw his legs forward and just to get the ball up to the rim. It seemed like he needed that much energy and effort to shoot a three. And obviously, by the time he was a senior, averaged 20 points a game as a senior, and he was built like a top 5 NBA draft pick, which he was. And, was probably one of my all-time favorites, if not my favorite Illinois basketball player of all time. And like, it's like that stuff's it feels like it's gone, because I think Moroz was kind of the guy a lot of Illinois fans identified with. His energy, his effort, his personality. He just is and he'd been committed to the program since he was a sophomore, and James Brown was supposedly the get, and Moroz, I think, was a better get than him. Brown didn't do much for Carolina this year, and it just sucks and it just hurts. But you know what? These guys, now that they're getting paid to play, they are getting a lot different options and a lot more people in their ear about what to do, and it's not always the right thing, in my opinion. So I was really excited. I wanted to keep what I called the core four. Kind of stealing what the Yankees had I wanted to keep Tommy and Kylan first and foremost, and then Moroz and Trey. It's kind of in that order were my top four. And, we lost 2 of them. I think that Trey is probably somewhat replaceable. And there's a guy who I think we can replace him with that's already on the roster. I'd like to see him stay, and that's Ty Rodgers, which would be really cool, because that's a guy that was another guy that Illinois fans had a lot invested into him for the same reasons that did Moroz. Always played hard, good attitude, good culture guy. And hey, listen, there's some things here that you need to understand, right? So some people are saying, hey, the Tim Anderson dynamic is kind of, Trey White was a Tim Anderson guy, Moroz was a Tim Anderson guy, Ty was a Tim Anderson guy. Ty was a Tim Anderson guy. Trey White's position is kind of what took Ty's minutes this year. And my understanding was we might have taken Trey without like full-fledged approval from all of the staff. That happened really quick and kind of subvert, Ryan. I think you and I were surprised when it happened. It was Jake Davis, and then I think it was Trey. So Trey being gone and Trey being kind of recruiting over to Ty by Tim Anderson, maybe Ty does stay, and maybe there is a place for him, because I think there can be, and I think a lot of Illini fans would like that.
Yeah, so I think too, there's just so much that goes into this, and I wanted to hit on the Moroz thing for a minute. Think about this. He was committed to Illinois for 3 years.
Yeah, as a sophomore in high school.
And you only get 1 year out of him before he leaves.
And didn't even get a full season because he got hurt.
Yeah, and so, I think for the fan looking in, and there's just a lot of bitterness going on, and then I can get some of it to a degree here. These guys are going out, and they're going to be making, a lot. They're going to get a lot of money from some of these places, and Illinois was not shortchanging Moroz. Okay, I heard they were going to give him between $800,000 to $1 million.
Yeah, and the rumor that's been thrown out there is a 1.8, which is a little ridiculous.
And so, like right now, he's like a top 25 or 26 power forward, right? Yeah. He's, that's still a high dollar. That's a high dollar guy with what the market is going now, with this free agency of NIL. So, but, just briefly, Moroz Johnson wanted to stay to a degree, but also had issues with how he was being used, and just for maybe who some of our I want to call them loyal followers, maybe, who don't go and scour the boards. They just listen to the show. I know there's a handful of them. And they just listen to this show, and that's how they get their Illini info. And so let me tell you, Morez Johnson didn't just want to be a go get the rebound and dunk it, right?
Right.
He didn't just want to do that, which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he is a talent. He can shoot the three. He can shoot a mid-range jump shot. We saw that in high school. He really wasn't allowed to his first year in Illinois. And while that bothered him some, I think it was just his role, right? He understood that. But I think behind the scenes that created some animosity with his dad. His dad thinks, he should be doing more than that. And he didn't believe that the Illinois staff would give his son that freedom his sophomore year to show like, hey, I can hit an open 17-footer. Let me take a three-pointer if I'm open. I don't have to just, as soon as I get the ball on the wing, I have to pass it the moment I get it. And Kev, I can understand a young man who's like, I want to play in the league, and I can't make the league by just grabbing rebounds.
Oscar Schwebe. I can't be Oscar Schwebe because he's not doing anything. I don't even know if he's in the league, right?
Think about this. You look at Cliff, Big Cliff, right?
Right.
Cliff miss. He got one. He got a little cup of tea in the NBA, and look at Kofi. Kofi didn't even barely get a sniff. You say, oh, well, Zach Edey. Zach Edey, 2-time National Player of the Year, can actually hit open, deep shots.
Yeah.
He got a chance to do that, by the way, a little bit. But I understand the frustration there. But I will say for Illinois staff, you have to go both sides of this. I know that they did tell Morez and his dad that they were going to allow him to have some more freedom this sophomore year. But, again, dad didn't believe that. Morez was just kind of fed up with some things inside about how he was used. I don't really necessarily, and I'm not going to beat this up because I don't think it's worth, but a few of the players just really didn't like Tyler Underwood and they butted heads, and that's okay, guys. I can promise you it's normal. A bunch of teams there's one or two assistants they may not like or get along with. And so all it takes is one little incident to where you're just like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. And then, hey, and you didn't use me how I feel like I should be used. Plus, I might be able to go make a $300,000-$400,000 more somewhere else. So that's why Morez left. Now, Trey White, as you mentioned and alluded to earlier, Trey White wanted to come back, but I think Illinois wasn't going to give him more NIL than he was making this year. And so in the meeting they had with him, they basically told him that, like, this is what you're making, and we're going to keep you there for next year. You're going to come off the bench. You're still going to get minutes, but we can't promise you 20 to 30 to 25. And at least them being honest with him, it's not – he didn't want to leave. I know Trey White didn't want to leave. But the staff was being honest with him and upfront and telling him, like, if you're going to be on Illinois next year, you're not going to be your role won't be the same as it was this year. So Trey left. He hit the portal. He's going to go make a little bit more somewhere else, which is good on him. This is probably the last year he can do that. But it stinks to a degree of continuity, as you were mentioning and alluding to. So that goes to Ty Rodgers, Kev. And, Ty Rodgers would bring that toughness, right? That leadership, a piece of everyday guy culture that I think was definitely lacking from this last year's team. And I really don't care if he can shoot the three ball or not. I still think we need a guy who can go rebound, who's a freak athlete, who can dive on the ball for loose balls, who can run who can start the fast break, Kev, and finish the fast break.
I think Ty Rodgers can be a guy who can shoot 25 to 28% from three next year, to just be enough of a factor to, if he stays, to be enough of a factor where you can't completely dork him. And if you dork him, I think Illinois is smart enough that they can put him in some pick and roll opportunities, because that's what you do when you dork guys. You put them in pick and roll opportunities. Because if you're not out guarding a guy who's setting the screener, then the ball handler can easily get open for a three. So And I don't know how well Ty Rodgers didn't work in the system with Morez and Trey, which both those guys being gone, there's definitely some role there for him. And frankly, I like having a fourth-year junior, Ty Rodgers. I can only imagine how strong he's going to be, how physically fit he's going to be, and his demeanor, his culture that he can keep with his team. I think he was a great leader from the bench. Like, we saw him consistently be a phenomenal teammate. So I think there's that the intangibles that he brings on top of it would be really good. You're just going to have to find a way to work him in there. I frankly, I think you could spot him in at your 4 right now with the guys that we think we're going to come back to. So,
what's up, Frank? I agree, Jason. People need to chill out a little bit. St. Dominic Rosary is being St. Dominic's Rosary, and we appreciate you.
Brad. It's okay. It's okay. But here's the fact of the matter is, like, players are going to come and go. Brad Underwood's not. Like, if you want to be a fan of this program, you want to have somebody to hold on to, it should be Brad Underwood. Like, that's that. And I know people don't like that, but that's just the way it is. And yeah, you can look at Underwood's record and compare it to Bruce Weber's. Remove Bruce Weber's first 3 years where he inherited someone else's players, and then remove Brad Underwood's first 3 years where he inherited someone else's players. Right? Remove and then compare them from there. There's no comparison. Illinois won from 2007 to 2020, made 4 tournaments and won 2 tournament games. Stop it.
So to answer this, Jake, the answer is May 28th. Sorry, not for Will and KJ to declare. I believe it's mid or late April. I don't have the date but so May 28th is the deadline for early entrants to come back to school or stay in the draft. So
April 26th to June 15th.
Yep, April 26th. So Will Riley will have till May 28th. So let's just assume KJ and Will are going to enter the draft, which they both will. Kev is number 12 in most mocks. I don't see him slipping past 15. And as I've mentioned several times, it's $7 million at number 15 a year. KJ's not coming back, okay? There's no reason KJ's going to turn down $7 million a year to come back and maybe hope that his left arm is better next year or that his stock doesn't slip anymore, and for KJ, for Riley, if him being at 23 in the latest, I think I saw 23, that's like $2.8 to $3 million a year, which is what Illinois is going to be offering him here to keep him. And I know people are going to think that's crazy, but Terrence Shannon Jr. was picked 27th last year, and his is like 2.5. So,
right. And so the big change there is Will Riley comes back to school, puts on 15, turns down that money, gets Illinois money. If Illinois money can be equal to what he can make this year, I think he can stay, and I think it'd be smart to stay. If he can put on some muscle, do some primary ball handling stuff, I think he's got All-American potential written all over him. I think he honestly will run some point guard there, and I think if running some point guard there would demonstrate some abilities, I think you can move into the top 10 of the draft. You start moving in the top 10 range, you start talking about like 8, 9, 10 million a year. It makes good financial decision for him to stay at Illinois because that first contract is so much bigger. So
yes, 100%. So my point to that, to finish for Jake, and then we'll move on, would be for Will Riley. And we're going to talk about the first name where Dame Sarr, Will Riley, they're going to go hand in hand here. And, it's like a couple of like, why Dame Sarr Riley package? Why not? Can it be a package? Well, so Riley's going to enter. He's going to jump in to declare. But if he leaves himself an out to come back, May 28th is the deadline for him to come back. So by that time, by the way, I found out his name is Dame Sarr, not Dame Sarr. So yeah, no, I'm doing it too, Kev. I don't even, I don't know if you've called him Dame or Dame. I don't know.
No, it's Dame. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dame Sarr, will, when he comes to Illinois, he'll already have signed to come and be at Illinois, sign an NIL stuff, all that good stuff. He's going to have all that stuff done by the time Will Riley would come back. Okay. So if people think, oh, well, Will Riley and Sarr, there's no way that they could play together, because a lot of people I've seen them saying that. Here's why that's not true, because I know that Dame Sarr is going to be deciding on where his college choice a lot sooner than the time Will Riley would probably even declare to go. So by that time that Dame's already been committed somewhere, Riley's coming back late May, early June. All those things are going to be already worked out NIL wise. So it is possible, but that's how it's going to work if it does. So with that said, I'm hearing great things, Kev, about Dame Sarr. By the way, for you folks who have not watched some of his highlights, man, he's been showing his immense athleticism, his talent, his competitive drive. Like, he's a fierce, athlete and competitor. And his 3-point shot, Kev, is a lot better than many people are giving him credit for.
He's a defensive demon too, man. He's playing with pros, dude. He's playing with guys.
Is it Satoransky,
Jabari Parker, like guys who played in, and he's starting on that Italian team, I think. So he would be a great asset. He would give us some of that athleticism that we kind of lack this year. I think if you got Ty Rodgers and him, you immediately have a little bit of a athletic upgrade from the wing spot that you could add to the team. And I do think there's a very real possibility you could play Will and him together. Now, can you do Will, Dame, and Josh Dix together? I don't know.
So true, but that's a good problem to have, right, Kev?
Yeah.
So they're not going to tell Josh Dix no here, and I'm just saying,
right?
So
money for all the above.
Yeah. By the way, thanks Jay Bagan for being helping us co-host and last week, and I know you and St. Dominic's Rosary always get along well. Sean Garner, okay, we're gonna get to it, Sean. Don't.
Well, I see some guys, some names being listed out there, and let's just address it. Some guys that are out there. I think that.
But before you do, Dame Sarr, I'm picking him to come to Illinois.
Crystal ball, Swami says.
Swami says crystal ball, and Kev, you're hearing it soon, right? It's soon.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing.
Okay, soon. Like, could be this week. Dame Sarr. Okay. What you got next, Kev?
I mean, I know Nigel Pack's in the portal, but I don't think that there's – I know we might have kicked the tires on that a couple years ago before he went to Miami when he left Kansas State. I don't know how he has another year of eligibility, honestly. I don't see that being – I've not heard his name mentioned at all in the Illinois circles. The guys who are being mentioned in Illinois circles that are very real possibilities are obviously Big Z, Zvonimir Ivicic, Tommy's brother.
Big Z. Hey, Barry's coming through in the clutch, Kev.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And then a couple other guys. One of them might be a pipe dream. But there's Yannick. No, I'm sorry, not Yannick. Yaxel Lindenberg from UAB is an unbelievable player. Unbelievable. So Yaxel, what's up, Jake?
Brandon Lampy, Dame Sarr is explosive and a freak defender, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
And Jalen Sellers is another guy to look out for. UCF. So UCF and UAB guys, if you want to go look up some numbers. If Blackwell portals, I'd give my left arm to get him. Obviously, we know about Josh Dix. So Sellers and Yaxel Lindenberg are two guys to keep an eye on. And then there's a couple guys from Toledo that Illinois might be interested in.
Cam Lewis.
Yep. And then what's the big guy's name? Is Minnesota. He hasn't played.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but yeah, he didn't play a lot, right? Or he had injured or something.
He didn't play at all this year. He transferred from Toledo to Minnesota. Big guard. I'll pull it up. But I watched some of his tape, and I think he could be a great role player off the bench. He's averaged almost 2 steals every year he's played college basketball. He's really big. I mean, he's like 6'2", 240. Like, he's big. He's like a 6'2". Who was that guy from Colorado State a couple years ago? David.
And he played football too. That guy.
Tyler Cochran. Yeah, Kolbrecki and Jacob came in. I watched some of his stuff, man, and I think he would be a great role player off the bench. So, listen, Brad Underwood has done wonders in the transfer portal. There was a graphic that was on Twitter recently about what guys have done in the transfer portal when they've come to Illinois comparatively to the Big Ten. He's done better than anybody else. We're in Sellers Final Four, like Sean Garner said. So we'll get some pieces here. You get Dix. You get a combination of Dix, Sarr, Riley. Everything else starts to come into play. I think everything else is house money at that point.
And I didn't really mention too much on Dix, so let me finish elaborating that for the main viewer of the show, not everybody that's in it every night, So Josh Dix, Iowa transfer, visited Kansas first. People thought, he's going to Kansas. That was the national perception. But behind the scenes, the Illini insiders, people who kind of know that what's going on, know that Illinois had a really good end there. And Fran McCaffrey, his coach, and Brad Underwood are very close. Yes. Fran is an analytics guy himself, actually loves Illinois' offense. Josh Dix always did like it. He saw how Illinois played. He's enjoyed that. Brad Underwood loves Josh Dix. So it goes hand in hand here. He had a visit over the weekend. Went really well. They basically showed him how he's going to fit in the system, how they can get into the league, why he will thrive, him starting minutes-wise, and also they're going to match any NIL money that he's offered from any other school.
Including Indiana.
Including Indiana, who he is visiting tonight with Ryan Conwell from Xavier. But Ryan Conwell and about 3 other guys are all on a visit together. Josh Dix is not the main man there. He was the main man in Champaign. He had the red carpet laid out for him. He's just another guy there in Bloomington. Ryan Conwell, who's from Indiana, is really their main target. They also have DeVries there as well, Tucker DeVries. So
yeah, and that is a one attractive thing there is that he knows Darian really well. Played on his AAU team, was recruited really hard at Drake. Played with Tucker in AAU, excuse me. So
yeah, I'm not saying that it's a done deal, but if someone would pulled my arm and twisted it behind my back, and if someone said, Josh Dix, where do you think he goes? I really think he's coming to Illinois. I think Illinois had a great visit. They put themselves in a great spot, but the point still stands. So Ryan Conwell is just going to commit. Josh Dix is going to commit. 2, 3, and then they're done, right? The ball can only go so many people's hands,
right?
And so that's another thing. And this is his final season, so making the right choice in the fit. Also, Champaign's a lot closer than Bloomington, Indiana, to his family. So that's still 3 hours closer. That means a lot. So with that said, let's move on to Big Z, okay? Yes. Tomislav Ivicic's brother is in the portal. St. Dominic's Rosary, the man, the myth, the legend. He knows it all. So Big Z's in the portal. And from, the last month or two, I was like, I think it's probably slim. It's probably not. Those brothers probably aren't going to play together. Not necessarily just thinking, one wouldn't go in the portal. You just think, how would they play together? You got Merez, right? You got Tomislav. It's not going to work. Well, when Merez leaves and goes to the transfer portal, that kind of makes the room there for what Big Z offers. He's a little bit better three-point shooter, a little bit better shot blocker around the rim. He's not as good of a defender. He's not as big. Per se, good of a defender, meaning like big.
He can block a lot of shots, but he can get bullied.
He gets pushed around worse than Tomislav, okay? Tomislav will still make it tough on some guys, okay? And he'll block some shots and use his body to make it tough. Big Z does not do that. But Tomislav is a way better passer. They run the ball. They run their offense through Tomislav. They're not going to run. They wouldn't run it through Z. But Z would space the floor really well. He'd also help give a little bit more of a rim protection when he's in. And he moves a lot better than Tomislav. He's a lot more agile and handles the ball a little bit better. So, and let's be honest, those twins, man, they're twins. They love each other. They want to play together. Let's keep that straight. Plus, Orlando Antigua got them both. He worked his ass off to get those guys to America to play ball over here.
Yep.
And if that doesn't matter, it does. Those two love Orlando Antigua. That's their guy.
Yeah, he had to go above and beyond for both of them to get him eligible, right? We know that Tommy's been a freshman, but obviously he's a sophomore because of some strange ruling. Zvonimir was not eligible at Kentucky until like maybe January of last season. So And Zvonimir, I mean, he's had some really good games, had some real stinkers too. So he's a little bit hot and cold. I don't mind him as a backup for Tommy because he can do some of the same things Tommy can.
You saw what he did to us, right?
Yeah, they had a good game against us at 13, but he had 27 against Alabama. Like, I mean, he had, I mean, like, and he can stroke it, and he's probably a little longer, probably a better shot blocker, but that's about it as far as being better than Tommy. Tommy's better overall. I do think Zvonimir with Fletch could be a benefit, right?
Yes, put on 10 to 15 pounds, yeah.
And I think O is probably a better big man coach than what they had at Arkansas. That's just my thought. So,
yep, no doubt, he would definitely be an asset, guys. And you want to, if you can have a 7'2" guy who can stretch the floor, who can handle the ball a little bit, who when you need him to play the 5 for a couple minutes, but also averaging nearly 2 blocks a game. Okay,
in 19 minutes.
Yeah, 2 blocks a game. Okay, that matters. So Big Z in there. I'm kind of feeling like Illinois would be a likely landing spot for him. I know they still have some other big man options. But Illinois still needs another guard, right, Kev? You got to have another ball handler with.
That's where Sellers, Sam Lewis really can come into play there.
Malachi Smith from Dayton is a name I've heard. And
then he's really coveted though. There's going to be he's going to be like the guy I can never remember his name.
What about All Right?
All Right, yeah. But I think All Right wants a starting spot. That's a transfer from Valpo, averaged 13 points per game. I think he was the Horizon Player of the Year.
He shot 50% from deep.
Freshman of the year, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, shoots nearly 50% from 3. Yeah.
And his brother always.
Right, and then his uncle right on time. All right. Yeah. So anyway, it's wild. But those are just some of the point guard options right now that Illinois is looking into. But they're going to have to get another a backup guard, somebody who can help relieve some minutes. But yeah, so those are some really good names. I mentioned Sam Lewis is a real good option from Toledo. We talked about him.
Fantastic player, shot 40-some% from 3 on the season. 6'6" kid from Chicago, can handle the ball, average almost 17 points a game from Toledo. Really good player. It will be really coveted. All these guys at this point in time are going to be really coveted, but it's one of those things that you have to look at it and you have to say, all right, where are the backup options? And that's where some of these guys it's really going to come into play is like, where are we at? What are we doing? How you're going to put your irons in the fire with this guy and you might get outbid. And then you can maybe find somebody that isn't that coveted. Yaxel Lindenberg will be one of the most coveted players in the entire portal, and is going to put his name probably he's already in the draft. If he stays, I imagine he'll stay in the draft. But I think Illinois got a shot there. I know that Orlando's got a relationship there. He's a New Jersey kid, but Yaxel Lindenberg from UAB, guys, go watch some of his stuff.
I can tell Kev's a big fan of the guy. Yeah.
Oh, I watched it. I was like, holy! He had a game with 30 points, 20 rebounds, like 8 assists, 4 blocks, and 5 steals in the American tournament. I mean, it was unbelievable against East Carolina.
They sound like Coleman Hawkins up there.
Okay. No, it sounds like freaking Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I was only meaning like the Coleman 15, 10, and 11 game he had last year. Yeah. So it sounds like Seller. I like the Jalen Sellers thing. I know he hurt his wrist. He didn't shoot as well. I think it was a little bit last year, but he had an
unbelievable game against Kansas 2 years ago for UCF. He only played 3 games this year. He hurt his back early on in the season, played 3 games. So that's why he's got another year. Jalen Sellers is really good. So,
and he 6'4", tough lefty.
Yeah.
He's
got some bounce, man. He could get up and cram on you.
He's got that big Reese bounce. What up, Big Reese? Big Thirsty. How's everything down in Lexington, baby? They're probably loving that Sweet 16, man. I know they're probably living it up, beating Illinois. Probably made their freaking year, so they can.
I don't know about that. Getting waxed by Tennessee probably didn't help, and then watching Tennessee get waxed by Houston certainly didn't help that.
Yeah, it doesn't make us feel any better. Definitely not.
Well, here's the thing about the portal, and like I know, Purdue landed a guy from South Dakota State. I kind of looked at the guy's stuff. He cuff or something like that. Really good numbers at South Dakota State: 17 points, 12 rebounds.
Oscar Clough.
just the season before, he was 6'11", big man, 6'11", 260, and I do believe that Painter is a downright good big man coach. You can't deny that. And so I think there's a draw for him to go to Purdue. But this guy averaged 7 points and 4 rebounds in the Pac-12 the season before that at Wazoo. So I think there's a lot of like just bullying guys in the Summit. So I mean, what I'm saying here is Illinois fans have some patience, because when we look at our portal gets, the first portal get we got last year was Jake Davis. And then like a week later, we had him on the show. After that, I think it was Trey White, and then maybe Ben Humrickhouse. Like, it took a while before we started landing guys at the caliber of the last 3 guys we landed were KJ, Tommy, and Will, arguably our 3 best players. So that's where you're gonna have to have some patience with this whole thing. Now, if we get Dame Star, that's obviously a recruit from a freshman standpoint. Just have some patience in this whole thing, because there's gonna guys who are gonna get bags, guys who are gonna get bigger offers, and guys who are gonna go elsewhere.
There's still guys that haven't entered the portal yet.
Yeah, it's guys from Illinois. I mean, DGL's probably entering this week, right?
Yep. So I wanted to get to that. So yeah, there's there's going to be names hitting the portal soon from Illinois. Plus, there's going to be portal names that Illinois is going to be going after. And so, of course, it's way too early for any sort of expectation, no doubt. But there's no rush here. Fans I see all these other teams landing people. Like Michigan landed Elliot Cadeau, and we're like, yes, please take him.
Right.
He can't shoot. But Illinois hasn't landed anybody yet, but that's okay, because there's a plan in place. They're still finishing up their exit meetings. So with that being said, yeah, me and Kev are both expecting our boy, and we will always wish him the best. And I know, listen to this, I want everybody to know this. He is going to go some places you guys probably don't expect. A lot of people think, he's just going to go to like a MAC school or a Missouri Valley Conference school. That is not true. I real firmly believe he's going to be a coveted player. He's got great athleticism. He can attack the rim and get his own. That's a coveted piece for a lot of teams. The fact that he maybe is a 25 to 30% three-point shooter isn't going to bother some schools out here. And he's a fierce competitor. I think me and Kev both, we saw, and I'm sure you guys did as well, his spirit just looked to be wilted towards the end of the year.
It didn't have the same bounce or same vibe on the court.
Yeah, so Dre's going to be fine. I know he loves Illinois fans. I know it's going to be sad for him for that aspect, because I know the fans, man, made it so awesome for him, and playing in front of a sellout every night. He might not have that again, but he is going to be fine. He's going to make a lot of money, and he's going to go start someplace and be somebody that can play 20 to 30 minutes a game and make mistakes.
Minnesota?
Hey, I don't know. Nika Medved is a great coach. I don't know if he'd take Dre, but
I'm with all the other guys. All these guys, dude. I'm not going to hate on Morez. I'm not going to hate on any of the current guys that are going to leave. I don't hate on Trey White. I certainly won't hate on DGL. That's my dude. I
saw Jacoby Gillespie. Jacoby Gillespie's in the portal from Maryland. Think about this. Reese graduated. Queen's going to the pros. Like Willard, while he did weasel shit, the way he handled it. Here's the only reason I don't like how Kevin Willard handled that, Kevin. I know this off topic, but you don't distract your team like that. It's their journey. It was the last time for some of these guys to get to play college basketball, and Julian Reese has to sit there and let his coach just steal the spotlight, talk about where he's going, why he might not stay, he needs more NIL money, and literally pretty much ruin the Sweet 16 experience.
Right. It was terrible.
That's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. And for Villanova to reward him with a big contract for being that fucking unprofessional, that's pathetic. It's pathetic. Like, you should not be rewarded for being a immature child in a grown man profession. It's just, it ain't cool. So, anyway, yeah, so Dre's going to land on his feet. So it sounds like Ben Hummerkaus is staying, Kev. That's what I was told. It sounds like Ben Hummerkaus is leaning on staying. That's what I was told, unless you've heard different.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there might be, I listened to the Tay and Piper show today, and they talked about do you keep Ty and Ben? Is it either or kind of deal? I'm fine with Ben, and I've said this before, but it's in that 7th to 8th.
But what I'm saying is him coming back isn't him starting. It's him accepting a role off the bench. So,
and listen, the guy did some good things. I know everybody wants to crap on him, but he was really good in the Michigan and Purdue games at the end of the season.
Yes,
and
Jake Davis. It sounds like Jake Davis is probably going to be popping out. You all right? Okay. Yeah, Jake Davis is looking like he's on his way out. I think they didn't offer him any more NIL, and they basically said like 10 minutes next year is probably what you're going to get promised. And that's maybe a little more than he got this year, but I think he just enjoyed being on a winning team and an environment, and he's still like, hey, I was only a sophomore, But so it looks like Jake and Dre are the next two. But I'm gonna bet Dre Gibbs is happening this week sometime. Just don't know what day yet, but I'm saying middle of the week. What the fuck, staying? Yeah, Ben Hummerkaus. The Illinois staff has offered an olive branch. Is that what it is called, Kev? Saying we would like you to come back if you want, but it's going to be off the bench as the 7th or 8th guy. Like that's it. Would you like to come back for one more year and play like that? So we'll see. I'm trying to think if we've not talked on anyone else as of now. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
We're about to hit some football official visiting, though. That's a huge, huge week. Who's this Kevin guy commenting in the chat here? So big official visit weekend. Anybody, if you guys have any more hoops questions, I'll try to get some answered before final thoughts. We're gonna move and transition to football. It sucks there's not a spring game, because I really think this year would have been so amazing to have that, because this is the most excitement we've had with football in a long time, and now it's like you don't get to see their practices, you just hear about them, and then no spring game, so we don't really see anything. It's just
One quick thing. I think if Price Sanford says he wants to come, I think probably Ben Hummerkaus is going to go somewhere else. There's no way you could take both guys.
No. But someone told me that like he might be leaning Nebraska. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Yeah, and we have Jason Jaxtis too, by the way, who I'm expecting Jaxtis to play. But by the way, there's going to be 15 spots next year too.
Yeah, and I think Jaxtis is probably a guy, and this is why I think you could keep Ben Hummerkaus, and then we'll just jump into it. I think Ben Hummerkaus was a guy who would firmly accept being an 8th, 9th man on the team, come in, spot up, hit some threes, and give you a little bit of defensive rebounding, and be a bench piece and not bitch about it, right? I think he'd be fine with that. So, and yes, Sean Garner. Now we can talk about this. We're moving into football because this is more football related here. He wants to know the guy. That's Nasir Rankin. Okay, so let's move into football. Yeah, just like you said, Ryan. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that. Like, I don't think Price Sanford and Ben Hummerkaus stick around, and I think if Hummerkaus sticks around, he's the 7th, 8th, he's the 8th, 9th guy on the team, and he's a backup role, and I think he's got the mentality for it. That's it. Football. Illinois offered basketball scholarship to Nasir Rankin. What does that mean? Firmly, all it means is that Brad Underwood and Brett Bielema talk to each other, right? And because if you're on football scholarship, that takes precedent over every other scholarship. Nasir Rankin is the top prospect in the state. And Brad Underwood extending an olive leaf of a scholarship for him in 2026 was a way to say, hey, listen, if you want to try and come play basketball on his basketball team as well as play football here, we'll give you a shot. And I think we're in the lead for Nasir Rankin. I think this might be something that could close it down. So really good work on those guys' parts, in my opinion. It doesn't mean basketball wise.
And if you remember this, remember when was it
Walter Young?
Walter Young. Remember 6'5" Walt Young would go off of the Sugar Bowl team and he'd go play on the he was the guy on the bench playing. He gets some jams, Kev. Remember that?
You got a dunk against Wisconsin. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was so funny because Walter Young looked like the skinniest football player alive and looked like the most muscular basketball player.
Yeah, big 6'5", big arms. Yeah. And I'm glad he got himself some NFL tick too.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good spot with Nasir Rankin. He's not in any of these official visit lists, right, Ryan?
Nasir Rankin's coming this weekend.
He is then this weekend. So Nasir Rankin is an athlete.
Which is commit watch, personally. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, he's an athlete on the football field. I think that Illinois has a cell where they could tell him, hey, where do you want to play? Where do you want to play? And you can go do it. So that's one of the things. If he wants to play offense, he can play offense. He can play defense, and he can have a chance to play basketball. I think it'll probably be a short-lived basketball experiment.
He might play one. I will say this: Brad and them will be a man of their word with Brett. Even if they get him to commit, I guarantee that first year he might be like a walk-on kind of guy who gets to come in and play. Maybe at the end of some games for 1 year at least. He's going to be on the bench, probably from January, probably a Big Ten play to March Madness. I bet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so. With a big weekend, so Nasir Rankin, which I think Kev commit watch. That's huge, though, not just because of he's a near 5-star, but it's like one of the best players in the state. Chicago, Oregon offers, right, Kev? Michigan, all the offers you would want. SEC schools, and then that helps you with other guys like J.C. Anderson and. You want to get all the top.
Max Suter.
Yeah, Max Suter. You want to get all the top kids from Illinois. So let me go down the list with you guys real quick here. Who is visiting this weekend? These are the big ones. So Nasir Rankin, we already mentioned. Here's one to watch too. This is from Vero Beach football. Remember, in Illinois has got some Vero Beach kids. Micah Champion-Smith, okay? 6'6", 320-pound offensive lineman. Offers from Tennessee, South Carolina. Let's see, we got Florida, Alabama.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just telling you that Illinois feels like they're in a good spot with this to really shock some people with at least one of these offensive lineman that everybody thinks, oh, there's no way he's coming to Illinois. So Micah Champion-Smith, I've heard could possibly be it. And then Jacob Eberhardt, 6'3", 6'3", 210 pounds from St. Louis, Missouri. He's got looks like he's got offers from Ohio State, Arizona, Miami, USC, Minnesota, Texas A&M.
Wide receiver, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then Javari Barnett, 6 foot, 226-pound athlete from Tampa, Florida. He's got offers from, besides Illinois, it looks like Tulane, UNLV, West Virginia, Alabama, North Carolina, Purdue, Maryland. So another one, and then the last one, which is a big one here, is he's already committed to Illinois though. Dylan Frechette, Big Island Frechette. So
yeah,
6'5", yep, 3-star offensive lineman from Cardinal Newman in Palm Beach, Florida.
Did you talk about Kai Pritchard coming next week in New Jersey 4-star? He's not coming this weekend. He's coming next week.
Yep. So next week's show, we're going to talk about that big weekend with Max Suter and J.C. Anderson and all those guys. So that's next weekend.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge, huge one. All right, let's see here real quick. Say SDR, Kevin and Ryan, players and coaches love Brett. Brett has NFL Super Bowl champions like James White. By the way, we had to mention that. How cool is that, man?
Really cool. Really cool.
James White on the staff that want to coach under him. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Illinois is cooking, dude. Like, it's not even with grease. Our guy Jason Kev, I trust this dude for football info over a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trimble looks like Braden Trimble's like really pushing Elzy. Like, and you saw that catch Trimble had in the end zone. One hand contorted his body. I saw him several times firsthand in Central Illinois making plays like this. But you never know how that's going to translate. So, but Braden Trimble could be a guy who gets some tick his first year. You know, probably maybe is like 5th, 6th, 7th type of guy, but coming in and getting some minutes.
I'm watching it right now. Oh. It's a poorly thrown ball and just makes an adjustment. Unbelievable, dude. Ugh.
That's the type of talent they're bringing in here. Ole Miss wanted him real bad. George McDonald wanted that dude. Old McDonald wanted that guy real bad.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We were in the Discord talking some Illinois football today, and when you look at like the 2 deep roster of where we're at, like there is just so much depth. The place I worry about depth a little bit coming up in this season will be, I think we have some depth at offensive line, a little bit, and I think we have a little bit of depth at the defensive line position. So other than Altmaier, those are the 2 concerns, but I think we have depth everywhere else. The sustainable depth. That's what I'm saying, sustainable depth. And I'm saying, like, you don't want to lose a guy like J.C. Davis. Like, that could hurt. Brandon Henderson, that could really hurt. Like, so those things are, or Gabe Yakas, that could really hurt. So,
I don't like those Wisconsin guys are making an impact.
Yes, unbelievable. So
James Thompson, yeah.
Neil, like, man, I'm really excited what's going to happen. Like I said, it's sad we don't have a spring game, but such is the ever-changing world of college athletics now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll answer a couple more questions here as we go, but we'll get close to final thoughts here, Kev. Anything in particular you want to talk about real quick before we do that?
Yeah, I alluded to it a little bit earlier. It's just one of those things that in this ever-changing world of college basketball, and I mean, there's been some comments about it as like, why is football different? And I think that the biggest difference is, first of all, the money aspect's a little bit greater in college basketball for individual players. Illinois could go get, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever, like before Brett Bielema got here, you could have gone and got the best guy ever in the portal with a big bag, and you might have won one more game. Like, it just doesn't change that much direction. In basketball, it changes dramatically because there's only 5 guys on the court at one point in time. There's only 15 guys on the roster. So it's going to be a lot more volatile in the college basketball world. Those guys are all viewing the opportunity to get to the NBA. They can get to the NBA earlier at the college basketball level than you can at the college football level. So there's just so many differing moving parts here. So I think that as you make investments into the college basketball team, you just have to be aware that these things are going to happen. I mean, Purdue has been one of those ones where they sustain guys, and now Miles Colvin, who's a legacy recruit, Roosevelt Colvin played there, loved him when he was with the Chicago Bears, is on his way out, suppose entering the portal. And it's just part of what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Devin Booker portals, right? And if Illinois needs a backup 4 or whatever, like depending on what happens, we might throw it. Or
you mean Xavier Booker?
Xavier Booker. I always do that.
Yeah.
Devin.
I was going to say, I wish Devin Booker was going to portal. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I always do that with the 2 of them. Yeah.
I'd leave the fucking Suns too.
Yeah. Right. And then what's his name? Devin from Ohio State. Confused. They always twist them all.
Yeah. Devin Royal.
Xavier Booker. So it's just one of those things that it's just part of the game now. And guys want to be featured more. They want to be utilized in roles more, and it's just going to happen more frequently at the college basketball level. And listen, we have to remind ourselves we cheer for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back, man. I mean, I know it's nice to love players and have guys stick around, but I think that's one of the reasons why I'm really falling in love with Kylan Boswell. And not only is he a Urbana native, I think I've met Brandon. I saw his dad at they threw his dad up on the tournament. I think I met Brandon years ago, probably about the same age. So I just think it's one of those things you just invest in the program, and it's sad to see guys go. We just can't get our hearts wrapped around the guys like the Ios of the world, or you just appreciate them and move on. So that's my final thought.
But yeah, we won't. There's not going to be any more like Trent Frazier's, like for those guys give you 5 years, and then they just go away, and you're like, man, it's like I haven't seen that man forever.
No, what you do is you just appreciate them after the fact, right? You appreciate the DeMontes and the Trents who left it all out there. Of course, it was a little bit different. They caught the very end of NIL and the portal season, but they stuck it out and they gave everything they had for the program, and you appreciate it. Even Purdue lost. They got Mason Gillis is playing like the 9th man for Duke. It just happens.
Trying to get him a natty. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
So I'll start with final thoughts here. And mine, just a lot of tumultuous, just negativity, vile towards the Illinois basketball program, and with these guys leaving, just blaming the staff, like what's wrong with them, blah, blah, blah. Why can't you? It's just the name of the game going right now. No staff is perfect. No staff can retain all their players. I know they try, but this past season, I know fans wanted to make past the second round. I know I did as well, but this program is not dropping any. This was always, to me, they're the 2-year plan with this a group of guys where you could keep a Will Riley. Let's say you can keep Will, right? Let's say you're keeping Tomislav, you're keeping Boswell, and then you're adding to it. I think Dame Sarr was a name that they were always expecting. They didn't expect KJ to come back. I think they always knew he was going to go after 1 year. So I still have tons of faith and belief in Illinois. And as you said, Kev, I said this actually to a good friend, Kedrick Prince, because we were talking about the program and how it is now. Just so many fans being so bitter and angry, and you just see it. Is that I just cheer for Illinois. The guys that put that jersey on, whoever's in those jerseys, who's ever taken the floor at State Farm Center, I'm cheering for them. And they represent our program that we love. We would have loved it to be guys for 4 and 5 years. It's just not how it is anymore. But that shouldn't tarnish, your love, your fandom for the program, and to think only, Brad's not the guy because he can't keep players. If NIL wasn't around right now, that wouldn't be a problem. You just seen Luke
and the unlimited portal too.
The unlimited transfer stuff. So program's in a good place. Continue your patience for the transfers and who Illinois is getting. I can promise you they got big things in store for next season. Brad knows it after this year. Like, hey, we got to get back to a second weekend and or even a Final Four. And I think Illinois got the funds for that. Being in the Big Ten is the best place for that. That's why you saw some rumblings of Nate Oates, wanting to go to Maryland, but it looks like Mr. Texas A&M's coach.
Grant McCaslin?
No, that's Texas Tech's coach. Texas A&M's coach.
Oh,
Buzz Williams was like calling. He wants that. He wanted that Maryland job. So I know he's an East Coast guy, but so Illinois got great NIL funds. So I don't expect anything but a great transfer portal. So let's just be patient, 1 week at a time.
25% of all D1 players are in the portal. 21%. 25% of all D1 players in the portal. That's a staggering number. Assistant coach, I'll chime in on this with just a quick thing here. We know a lot of rumors flying around about a lot of like vitriol towards Tyler Underwood. Tyler Underwood as this offensive coordinator, and I know that like we have to separate the football mindset. He is not on the same level as Orlando or Jeff, right? It is a sub role behind them. But
it all goes through Brad, though, right?
Right, but he has been the offensive coordinator for the past couple of years. We were 4th in efficiency, or 3rd in efficiency last year, and 14th this year. So the offense, and I know, and like we all fretted about the amount of shots that we missed, and we couldn't believe we missed them. We missed a lot of freaking open looks too, and the offense was still 14th best offense in the country. So the challenge and where we'll have some changes, I think, on the staff. I don't believe they'll keep Quay Jones. I think he's a good dude, but I mean, obviously the guy that I've talked about on this show is Yaklich. Yaklich might be a name that you hear as that third assistant, but there's been so much transfer portal, it's been kind of put on the back burner. And then Zach Hamer we might be looking at a different place there, from what I understand.
So. Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard Zach Hamer is going to be moving on. Whatever that means.
The defense the past 2 years has not been good. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
So,
yes, there's going to be a link to the Discord. I will actually post the link to the Discord. I will actually tweet it. I will quote tweet this and put the link to the Discord on there. It's a good time. It's a lot of silliness. I have a hot board on there, by the way, for folks, where you can get away from the silliness and the craziness of Illinois fans and the rumors. There's portal gossip. There's coach.
Yeah, I'm not even allowed to post in there.
No, Kev, I actually did. I think you are.
Well,
you can post in the hot board. What you got hot to post, baby? You got to bring the heat, man.
I got crapped on that. I didn't have any hair last week, so I got to take the lid off. So I got good cloth, man. 46 years old. There ain't no spot.
Who the hell said you ain't got good hair? Okay.
Somebody said it was a follically challenged podcast last week on Bagan's Facebook.
Whoa. And I've never seen Bagan without a hat on, so maybe he is follically challenged.
I don't think he's got it. Don't think he's got anything.
Okay. Well, Jay Bagan, don't feel bad, brother. Man, bald is beautiful. But yes, I'll post the link, so it's fun. There's a lot of just goofiness on there, but there's still a lot of hoops talk. Football is a football page, but I post on the hot board all the latest updates I'm hearing about transfers, coaching stuff, who's going to commit, just anything you guys would want to hear or talk about, I post on there. So, so join in if you want. Other than that, we appreciate you guys. Another crazy week. Should be a good, fun weekend, Illini football here, and we'll be back next weekend. Swami out.